psychics and people who can sense things like
they're frauds.
Like,
yeah, I
stuff
don't.
that other people can't. Like, I don't understand why you can't see a touch of something we can't explain and explain that up to a higher being. Like,
I'm a little confused by
like how science can't explain everything, so we should believe that there's a touch of the divine there.
Wait, now are you saying that you advocate that, or are you asking?
I'm not stating my opinion.
Okay.
I'm stating, like, if we can't define something, shouldn't we just throw that up to a higher being if we can't explain it?
No, actually, that's one of the things, the exact things that I'm saying is a bad idea. That just because we don't have an explanation now, that doesn't make it all right to claim that God did it or God is responsible.
But can't you see the good things too, like having faith, like for cancer treatments and stuff? Like people
can you provide?
They can't explain.
No. I understand.
Stronger and stuff. Like, how do you explain that?
If
that's a good thing.
If your faith makes you feel better, I don't want to take that away from anybody. I mean, there's some people that call in the show, or there's people that will argue online and say that their morality comes from the Bible, and that if they weren't Christians, they'd go out and rape and murder. And my response to that is, I'm very glad you found the Bible. Okay?
Oh, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like...
No, I know you're not saying that.
Faith does have its good aspects as well as its bad. I can see the bad, too.
If it makes people feel better and they're not hurting anybody, I'm okay with anybody believing anything.
Let me address this in kind of a sideways fashion. This will take just a minute. Okay, I agree that you can get positive benefits from what some people would call faith or belief or whatever, because it makes you feel good. But assume for a second that there is no God and that there is nothing supernatural. If that's true, then the real benefits that you're getting aren't coming from faith. They're coming from yourself. And they could be misperceptions. You could be misconstruing cause and effect or overemphasizing one result as opposed to another. But
that's what I don't understand. Like, if you don't believe anything, why are you preaching at all?
Where did you get this idea that we don't believe anything? I didn't say I didn't believe anything. I just said I had no belief in the supernatural.
In the supernatural? Okay.
I believe in all kinds of things.
What about aliens?
I believe that it's a good possibility that life may have evolved somewhere else in this extremely vast universe. Do I think they've been visiting Earth? No.
No? Okay. Well, what about parallel dimensions?
It's a theory. I mean, it's a hypothesis. It's not even a theory. It's just that's just an idea. And whether or not, I mean, these are things that...
But if things like that we can't explain, why couldn't we not explain something like God? That's the same thing.
Well,
if we
that's
can't
kind
explain
of...
certain things, if we can't explain the non-existence of God, how can you say that definitely there's no God?
Well, the response...
First of all, none of us have said definitely there is no God.
Yeah, so we don't believe in it. But the point I would say is that if there definitely is a God, why can't he be proven? Like, what's the problem in proving him if he exists?
That's what faith is, though. It's trusting in what you can't see.
No, I understand what faith is.
Definition.
I understand what faith is. I'm just saying that if something exists, why wouldn't I be able to prove that it exists?
See, you can't prove that everything doesn't exist yet.
No, doesn't.
Not doesn't exist.
I'm saying if something does exist, why can't I prove that and show that it manifests itself?
Why can't you?
Right. Why wouldn't I be able to do that? If it does exist, shouldn't I be able to?
Just like we can't prove aliens exist because technology isn't that quick. Maybe
what
in
if they
a
really
million years
don't?
we'll be able to, but like right now you cannot say definitely there is no God, and I can't say that there definitely is.
And we didn't say that. And when I asked about aliens, I said that it was a possibility. I don't believe for sure that they exist, and I don't disbelieve that they exist. But if somebody came to me and said that they received messages from aliens and that aliens absolutely exist and that I need to believe in aliens in order to avoid being incinerated by the evil garblot from the other galaxy, I'm going to say they're nuts. Provide some evidence.
Let me just ask a quick question. Do you think that it's fair if something has no evidence for or against it? Do you think that it's fair to simply say, I refuse to believe this exists until such time as there's some evidence that I can weigh in on and put an opinion on?
I think it should be a label like a theory where it would be...
Even if there's no evidence for it?
No evidence? It's
Yeah.
a theory. There's many theories on a lot of unexplained phenomena.
But for which
thing.
there's no evidence.
Those aren't theories.
But that's not the thing. Like, with faith, it's different. It's not...
It's very different.
We agree.
Yeah, I
and
agree.
You can't do that. It's something totally different.
But what
It's
would
not
make someone
concrete,
believe in
and
a...
that's the whole point of it. And you guys are preaching, like, you're presenting new information, but it's really just, like, talking around the issue at all, you know?
Actually, we're presenting really old information
Yeah.
today.
No, you're not presenting any information.
Really?
No, yeah.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this question. Hang on. Let me ask you this question with regard to faith, and maybe this will clarify why I think faith's a bad thing. Do you have a belief in any particular God? I'm not going to pick on it. You believe in a specific God?
No.
No.
I believe in a higher being.
Okay. Why don't you also believe in a specific God? You can't disprove Yahweh or Vishnu or any other God that somebody else has claimed. You can't disprove them. Why don't you believe in all of them?
I think that they're all basically the same for each one. They
So
just
you've got a
manifest
pantheistic...
themselves in different ways.
Okay.
Each
And
people
the
have
notion
personal versions of the same thing.
Then how do you
Every
explain?
culture is different.
Then how do you justify the fact that your view of God contradicts each of those independent views of God? Because
I don't feel it does.
Okay, so you're believing what you want to believe without any justification. Do you think that's a good thing, and that other people should do that too?
Yes, because I don't hate them or anything. I don't.
It's not a
wish
matter
them
of
any
hate.
wrong. So what's wrong with that?
It's not a matter of
if everybody's
hate.
happy.
This is a good thing to sort of illustrate, and maybe this will help you see how we're looking at it. And I used this the last time I was on the show with another caller, and it was, if I told you I went to Disney World in Orlando on vacation last summer, would you believe me?
Yeah, like if I didn't have any reason why not,
Right.
unless you were a compulsive liar,
Right.
which I don't see why you would be.
Right, and
That'd be
because
very
that's a
odd.
very easy thing to believe, isn't it? I mean, it's like a lot of people go to Disney World. You know where Orlando is.
But that's the same thing. But am I a skeptical person? Am I the kind of person who's going to ask, let me see some pictures? I'm not a detective, you
Right.
know?
Now, here's the next question. What if I told you that I went there in an alien spacecraft? They abducted me and took me to Orlando, and the aliens showed me all around Epcot, and then we came back, and they flew me back to my home and beamed me down into my living room. Would you believe me then?
Probably not.
Why not?
Because I just met you, like you were saying.
Well, but I still have no reason to lie to you.
That's far-fetched. That's the difference. That's using common sense.
That's far-fetched. Now, here's the point. When a person tells you something that's not far-fetched, it doesn't take a lot to believe it because you know enough about reality to say, this makes sense. She could have gone to Orlando on vacation. When they tell you something that doesn't mesh with reality, that doesn't seem to be what you really see and experience, all of a sudden you need proof. We're saying, you're telling us about a supernatural being we can't have no experience with, and you're saying that we should have faith in it and believe it without any proof. Now, why won't you do that for me when I tell you about the aliens that took me to Epcot?
I'm not preaching an idea that's new, like aliens or anything.
What difference does it make if they...
Well, what if aliens have been around for a while? What if
there are things I cannot explain? That's like how can you can believe in the unbelievable?
I think there's one. I think there's one
and I just
significant.
think it's kind of sad that you guys can't accept that.
Well, I think it's weird that you don't accept far-fetched tales without proof unless it's the one you pick.
I think the point that I was getting to.
I was saying, like,
hang on. I'll get back to you. There's a problem with the mics, and I know you can't hear me. The point that I was going to get to, you just said you think it's sad that we can't accept things on faith. I think it's sad that you do not care whether or not what you believe is actually true. I happen to believe that it is very important for me to know that the things that I believe are most clearly represented reality. I either believe things that are the truth, and I reject things that are false, and I reject things for which there's not sufficient evidence. It's important for me to know that what I believe is true, because I don't want to run around with a head full of things that are false or potentially false. And that's the point. Are you there? I guess being on hold didn't agree with it.